nerdy, unqualified, and absolutely indistinguishable from rambling. Welcome to the A&D Show.
Now don't do this, okay? It's been multiple years. It's been like, what, 4 years now? This is probably going to get out of hand.
Hello and welcome to the A&D Show. We are back, people. We are back.
We've missed this time.
The boys are back in town.
You know, we did season like 3.
We did.
It was one episode.
It was only one episode.
We brought it back. We did an episode and it's like, life's busy. And so we hung it up.
Yeah. The technology was a little bit burgeoning at that point too. So it was kind of difficult to
be fair, I had just had a preemie baby. And so it's like, sorry.
Right. Well, and on top of that, both of our lives were crazy. My wife and I had just gotten married. Like, I think we haven't even reached a year at that point. And so we were still navigating new married life. And I was just about to start a new job at that point. So it's been a crazy couple of years, but we're back. We are so excited and we have so much to talk about.
Seeing your beautiful face, I just feel like I miss this. Just all this glow. Man.
Well, it's the light. I've got a light up here. Let me illustrate some of my fancy, because here's the deer, people.
Deer?
We bring this season 4. Yeah. Oh, dear God. We bring season 4 into the mix. We come out of pseudo retirement, if you will. And, pseudo pandemic retirement. And, we're in this weird demographic now where everything is remote and we're just kind of living in a different world. And so we figure if we're going to do this, if we're going to give the people what they want, which is more A&D, more of us and more of our opinions. And if we're going to give the people what they want, we got to go top tier. So we're working with some new technology. We're working the best we can with what we have available to us. And part of that is this fancy light system. Look at this. I'm like having a rave. I can dim it down.
To be fair, in all honesty, we're 2 hours apart from each other. We are literally 2 hours apart. And, maybe, we're hoping this fall to get together and do some like live video stuff. But, I can't drop what I'm doing to drive 2 hours, and neither can you. And so, for us, doing this via video makes the most sense. And it works well.
And, ultimately for listeners, for viewers, it works out well because what it does is it kind of opens the A&D show up to our listeners and potential viewers in a way that we haven't really been able to do before. If you look at our channel, youtube.com/AD.show official, that's not currently what our YouTube handle is, but it will be soon. If you look at our videos on our YouTube channel, you'll notice a pretty vast majority, maybe even an exclusivity, that are all us in a car talking and making up crap because that's what we love to do. And they're hysterical.
I want you to know that I went back and I watched the history of theme parks and I still laugh because we are the funniest people that I know. Like, we are hysterical. Like, I was dying watching this and laughing. It's just stupid stuff. Stupid stuff. And I laugh.
Well, that's just who we are. We're just stupid people. Up to this point, the video element of our podcast, of our show, if you want to call it that, has been it's been a different kind of content. It hasn't been our typical pop culture discussions and opinions, or our technology, or even some of our fan favorite content, which is when we discussed, our what were they called? Myths and conspiracies with our famed guest host Adam Solorio. If you haven't listened to that episode,
go back and listen.
go back and take a look. It's a 2-episode run because we just had so much content we couldn't fit into one episode. And it was so much fun. So go listen to that. But with this new kind of advent of online and streaming and this whole kind of like live feed stuff, we're kind of opening our show up to our audience in a way that we haven't been able to do before. That's exciting. So we're excited about it. We've got so much that we're really excited. We've got some plans. Austin and I have been talking over the last several days as we've gotten closer to recording, and we've got some ideas and some things that are in the works that we're hoping are going to really kind of take the A&D show to a new level. So this can be exciting. So stick around, check out our website. It's currently under development, so we haven't gotten the domain name linked quite yet, but there is a kind of a practice link or whatever on our Facebook if you want to connect with us there. Facebook.com/AD.show official, and connect with us on Instagram. Same handle, AD.show official at Instagram. And we're going to have some great things coming to our website soon. So that's enough. That's enough about all the preliminaries. I feel like we've been gone for so long. We've been on hiatus so much that I had to kind of get a few things, a little bit of grunt work out of the way before we could really dig into the dirt.
Right. People got to know where we're at and what we're doing.
That's right. We're working on some sponsorships. It's exciting. We have a kind of temporary practice affiliation with Canva platform currently that we're fostering to see if that will go. So if you are a Canva user and you want to know more about that, become a pro user. If you want to click our affiliate link that's linked on our Facebook page, do that. That'll support the show. We'll really appreciate that. And you'll get a great design platform that you can use for many things. So other things on the horizon for us as well that we're really excited about, we'll share with you as episodes come going forward. But we've got a brand new look. We got brand new technology. We got a brand new logo, brand new theme song that you just heard. And it's just going to be great. Everything's going to be fresh. We're just got a new life into the show. And we have come to talk about some things that probably should need a little bit of new life because they are kind of starting to suck. And what am I talking about, Austin?
Phase 4 of the MCU.
That is correct. Anybody who is a fan of comic book movies or is maybe just a cinephile like the two of us, you'll notice a severe dip in quality storytelling since
the thing is, like, I knew that when Avengers ended that there would be some dip because you're losing your star power, you're losing some of your best characters, And I really wanted to like everything that's come out. Black Widow, the intro credits were phenomenal. Like that was the best part of the movie. The best part of Black Widow was the intro credits, and I don't care what anybody says, they were phenomenal. The movie overall was trash. It wasn't good. I wanted to enjoy it. Shang-Chi, Eternals, so bad. I mean, No Way Home was pretty good.
No Way Home, for me, No Way Home was the end of an era of great MCU because we had everything leading up. I mean, not every film landed with me personally. There were some that were kind of weak, and we've talked about those in previous episodes. But there were some great films in that first, say, 23 film run. Not to mention, not including any of the shows, because all the shows at that point, there were several Marvel shows that were great, like the Daredevil show was amazing.
The Punisher was amazing.
The Punisher was phenomenal. So and there were some others that might have had a little bit of ground. And then there were some real stinkers out there too, looking at you, Inhumans. So, but you see, I think it was in Far From Home, Spider-Man Far From Home. That's kind of where you see the aftermath, Peter kind of reconciling, if you will, with the death of of Tony. If you haven't seen it already, suck it, because we're like a decade past that movie already. So, but then in No Way Home, you see how Peter, and this is the way that I'd hoped it would have been, and it ended up not being this way, and it was a really missed opportunity in my opinion. You kind of see how Peter becomes the linchpin for everything that's going forward.
Right.
And it's his actions. Granted, you've got the Loki series happening at the same time, and there's some kind of like multiverse junk happening, but and then you got WandaVision, and it was a good show, but
WandaVision was great until the final episode.
Yeah.
I mean, WandaVision, I was hooked. I loved every episode. And then the last episode happened, and I'm like, this is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
But I think about it, how many shows that I've seen in the past that just simply the finale ruined the entire show. Mm-hmm. WandaVision is one of them. And I mean, it was a terrible way to end that great show. I mean, it was not a cultural phenomenon, but it was pretty close. There was a lot of buzz about it, and then the last episode happened for WandaVision, and it was terrible.
Well, it kind of fell prey, I think, to the same problem maybe that Lost had. Do you remember Lost from back in, I think it was 2004? Yes. That show was amazing, and I've been rewatching it, and it still holds up. Like, it's such a good show, and it just really petered out at the end. And it was one of those things where it was almost too apparent that the writers going in didn't really plan for the show to last as long as it did. And, and it's not necessarily that WandaVision the writers didn't plan for the show to last the full 8 episodes, because that's kind of bonkers to think about. But it was one of those things where it's kind of like, did they really think about where they were wanting to go with this near the end?
See, I feel that way about like the Blacklist. Like, I loved the Blacklist. Like, that was a great show. I haven't seen an episode this season because it's just like I watched like the first one, I guess, and it was just so poorly done, and I can't get into it. And I mean, I love that show. But at some point, I hate when shows end, because there are so many shows. There are so few shows that I genuinely enjoy. Yeah, but I would rather a show end in a season or two too early than a season or two too late, because it leaves a taste in your mouth. That
was kind of a lot of people's similar opinions about The Office, right? The Office should have ended at season 7, and they redeemed themselves by the end of season 9. The ending was really heartfelt, and it was a really good kind of love letter to the fans. But it definitely suffered those last 2 seasons. Yeah. And there's a lot of shows that fall prey to that. That's the sad thing, is when you find a show that either A, doesn't get a chance to get to that point. Case in point, Firefly. That was a fantastic show, and they killed it before the first episode even aired. Or you find a show that has so much potential, and they just never really capitalize on it. And that is what WandaVision was. But there's some good things that have happened in phase 4. No Way Home was phenomenal. I went and watched that with my wife, and I sat there and I white knuckled the handles of the seat, and I was like, wow, like over and over. It was just, I loved it. But it was just literally just a fan love letter the whole time, bringing back Toby and Andrew.
And it was great. It was great. Like, it was really well done. And then you get the next movie is the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
And going into it, I was jazzed, because honestly, I enjoyed the first Doctor Strange. That was pretty solid. I went into it with low expectations, because it was just, I was never a fan of Doctor Strange, and I genuinely enjoyed the movie.
Yeah. And
then this happened.
I think it suffered from the inverse reaction to the first iteration. You said, and I think we all probably went in with low expectations for the original Doctor Strange.
But after 28 movies, the bar's high, no matter what you do. I'm sorry.
Right. Well, and 28 movies, and they've developed this character out, and then they've dropped these huge bombshells in No Way Home. And this is just, maybe I'm crazy. I don't think I am, because I follow, channels like New Rock Stars, who are like, spreading this stuff like wildfire, that what their theories and thoughts and opinions. And I think we all kind of hoped and believed that No Way Home was going to be this, or that Multiverse of Madness rather was going to be this kind of picking up from No Way Home and linking these two stories together to see how the actions of that film impacted, but they didn't at all. And it just really fell flat.
The story felt confused, like they didn't know what they were trying to do, and it was really a huge letdown. And I mean, there were some, cool scenes in it. The flying off the balcony of the wedding and the cape coming on. That was kind of cool to watch, and that was fun. But I mean, that when the highlight of a movie is a scene or two in there, like it's just not great. Like the writing was terrible. The acting was mediocre at best. It just wasn't good. The story was awful. The story was terrible.
Yeah, it just felt like, and here's the thing, and I don't know why they did this. They brought Sam Raimi in to direct this, and I think they're really wanting to go in the direction of like a horror genre to kind of make the MCU kind of all things to all film fans, because that's the one genre they really haven't touched much. And it just didn't work.
No.
Like Sam Raimi, I got nothing against the guy. I loved all of the original Spider-Man trilogy. I loved all of them. Tobey Maguire is my boy. That was my first Spider-Man. That was my first big Marvel, fanboy moment. And it was awesome. I loved it. But bringing him in to helm a project that I just felt like it needed so much more, I don't know, so much more finesse, so much more care and consideration with how it fit with the rest of the universe they've already built. And they just kind of abandoned everything it seemed like that they had already done.
It lacked a lot of continuity, and it lacked a lot of, what happened yesterday. And when you're building a franchise like this, and honestly, and maybe I'm the only one, I'm kind of tired of the whole every movie connects thing in certain ways. I like the ongoing story of, little pieces here and there. And, maybe I'm the only one that's kind of got this fatigue of these, 45 movie storytelling, vignettes. Maybe I just like a movie, maybe I like a sequel to a movie, and it's it feels like it's in different, universe than the other one is, and they're not connected. And maybe that's just me. But at some point, I think it was going to come to a head where either the ball was dropped terribly, like it was with Multiverse of Madness, because as far as I'm concerned, Eternals never happened. That wasn't a thing. That never happened.
I saw,
Shang-Chi never happened. Thor, from what I've heard, that didn't happen either. I've not seen Love and Thunder yet.
I haven't either.
I've heard that the CGI is just real top of the notch stuff there. It's a multi-million-dollar movie, and from what I heard, the CGI looks like it was done in paint. So
well,
but Thor never got, people dog on the Dark World. The Dark World's not a bad movie.
Well, when you look at it juxtaposed to some of this garbage that's come out from them lately, and I look at it and I'm kind of like, have you heard about, and this could be another episode that we talk about this at length, but have you heard about what's going on with Warner Brothers right now and the Discovery merger?
No, fill me in, please.
So Warner Brothers, HBO, that whole shebang, and Discovery, who have Discovery Plus and all these kind of home improvement type shows and documentaries and nature stuff, two very diverse and different platforms from each other. One is very much, film and entertainment. The other one is much more like educational, really cool by themselves. But for some reason, Warner Brothers and Discovery decided we're going to merge, and we're going to kind of get a little bit bigger hand on this streaming market. We're going to have all of our cool custom entertainment. Huh?
You have to.
Yeah, well, I understand the idea behind it.
Because Dish Network, DirecTV, they're dying. They're going away. It's going to come down to what my dream has always been. My dream has always been a la carte TV. And I don't watch a ton of TV because I don't really have time with the kids.
Yeah.
But David, you know me, you know that I like sports. And I'd always said, if I could get subscriptions, order cable or satellite and just say, okay, I want this channel, this channel, this channel, this channel, and give me these 12 channels. That's all I want.
Right.
And pay for each one of those. That would make the most sense for any, provider.
Right.
But
that would make the most sense for the customer.
Right. But that's where it's going now. You see the Disney, Hulu, ESPN Plus partnership.
Yes.
Now for $15 or whatever it is, you can get Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus all at the same time. And it makes the most sense.
And if you're a subscriber to any number of different cell phone providers, like my wife and I are Verizon, we get that whole package for free as a part of our monthly bill, which is great. But no, so Disney not Disney, Discovery, Warner Brothers have merged. That's their new game plan. They're thinking we're going to get a little bit bigger foothold in this streaming market, and then we're gonna do better with this. Well, as you know, Warner Brothers has been kind of struggling since their failed attempt at a multiverse or at a cinematic universe. The Snyderverse, in my personal opinion, was amazing, and they really they cut the cord on that one way too quickly.
Absolutely.
And I really felt like they missed a huge opportunity because that could have been huge.
Well,
but
I mean, think about how good Justice League Snyder Cut was.
Oh, it was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal. And if they would come back and let him redo half these movies, like Suicide Squad, do it his way, instead of letting Joss Whedon come in and ruin everything. But that's more about Warner Brothers, because the reason that Snyder left was because his daughter had just passed away from suicide.
Yeah,
they're like, well, sorry, we need to make money, and so they brought in Joss Whedon, did a bunch of rewrites, a bunch of reshoots, and it was terrible.
Yeah,
because the way that Snyder did it was darker, the way it should have been. It wasn't campy, and it wasn't. They tried to force the MCU model and be the Avengers, or be similar to the Avengers, have that those little jokes and fun stuff. It was terrible. It was terribly done.
Well, and what happened, I think, is that Warner Brothers ultimately got cold feet when they looked at Zack's final product, or what would become his final product of the Justice League. And it was a mammoth 4.5 hour long epic adventure. And the reality is that is a lot to take in. When it came out on HBO Max, I literally got up at like 4:00 in the morning and watched it until I had to go to work that day.
It was great.
And it was amazing. And it was worth every second. And I've gone back and I've watched it again since. And it's taken me some time, but
the way the story was done was so well done. I mean, Snyder's a great storyteller.
Yeah.
And part of that was this, they wanted more of a light version because everybody was knocking DC for being dark and broody and whatever. And then Matt Reeves comes and does the Batman and hits a grand slam, knocks it out of the park.
That movie blew my ever loving mind.
We're gonna have a whole episode on the DC universe, because we're gonna get way off the weeds, because I've got a lot to say about how good the Batman was.
We do need to, and we will have a special episode about it, but I want to say one thing. So Disney, or Discovery, and Warner Brothers have merged, and the big news coming from Warner Brothers right now is that they are hitting the chopping block with tons of stuff. The latest that I've read, according to today, is that Batgirl, that was going to be Michael Keaton's kind of coming back as Batman. That was kind of his his vehicle to get him back.
Bad. It was so bad they're not even going to release it.
And the
movie was virtually done.
$90 million into this film, and apparently it was so poorly done that they just cut it.
From what I'd heard, I had heard that they pulled the plug on that, but I had also read that it was basically a virtually done movie. That whole thing, they edited it and everything like that, and it was going to be ready, and it was so bad that they just axed it because that was going to go direct to HBO Max, I believe. But I think so. Bad they didn't, and that tells me how bad is a movie if you won't even put it on your streaming service. It's not even like a theatrical release. It's going on a streaming service, and it's so bad that you won't put it on there. The movie,
Well-
the movie was so terrible that they didn't want that backlash on the studio.
Well, what's crazy is that's not where it stopped. They have, as of today, have gone into HBO Max films that were written, produced, directed as HBO Max exclusives, originals. 6 fairly large films have been completely pulled from the platform, including the Ronald Dahl Witches property that starred Anne Hathaway and several other films similar to that. Not all of them quite that large of scale, but 6 whole movies produced just for that platform they have pulled. There have been at least 2 or 3 children's animated shows that were cut from production and removed from the platform. And there was an entire film, a follow-up to the kind of DreamWorks animation style Scoob movie that they came out with a couple of years ago. They were going to have a follow-up kind of sequel to that, and they've completely cut that from their roster as well. So they're really clean in house. And my concern is that Warner Brothers hasn't historically been very good at making good decisions when it comes to IP. So I am partially worried that they're cutting ties with properties that may or may not be great stuff that we'll just never get to see come to fruition. But at the same time, if it's what they need to do to right their wrongs, if there's a new person in charge, there's always the possibility that new person could see the mistakes that they made with Zach and maybe potentially rectify those, which would be fantastic. And that, I think, maybe is something that Marvel needs to kind of learn from a little bit. There is definitely some franchise fatigue. That's clear.
Absolutely.
But I think that's one of the things that's really that Discovery, or not Discovery, that's one of the things that Warner Brothers is really capitalizing on really well right now. And that is that we are getting some movies that are really great standalones. Batman's a good example of that. And if we could kind of go back to that, but then at the same time, Marvel's kind of got a can of Pringles worth of films over there. They've popped the top on all these interconnected storylines, and it's really, they're struggling to go back to that one-off movie.
Well, and that's saying you can't, because you can't put them back in the bag. Once you do that, you're done. I mean, that's how it's going to be now. You can't put it back in the bag. I mean, you've already planned this future with this whole timeline for Phase 4, Phase 5, Phase 6, and there's an entire list of movies coming out in the next 4 years that are, you've got the Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians Volume 3, which ought to be the last Guardians movie. The Marvels, Blade, which I'm actually really excited about Blade. I love the Blade movies. So I'm excited about that. But then Captain America: New World Order, which I assume that's going to have who's new Captain America? What's his name?
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie playing Captain America, which I think it did fine in Winter Soldier or Winter Soldier and Falcon. I thought that was pretty solid. That was one Marvel show that I genuinely enjoyed. But then you've got the 900th attempt at Fantastic Four. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, and they teased us with the Reed Richards, the John Krasinski. I thought that he was always a fan favorite in my opinion too. I think I love John Krasinski. Loved him always
in everything
I've seen him in. Everything up to even up to his what is his show on Amazon? I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But I've loved everything he's been in. I love him as an actor.
He's a Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan, that's the one. Yeah, and and him as Reed Richards. I thought it was, even though it was a kind of a throwaway role, I thought he did a great job. But the problem that I have with that film, again, going back to the grassroots, is that you end up with a film that the best part about it is a cameo from a character that they clearly have no intention of continuing at any point.
Patrick Stewart's not coming back. Let's be honest. Patrick Stewart, he's out.
Right.
That was cool to see him in there too. This multiverse was all connected. It was fun. It was a fun little nod to probably the best Professor X. Although I do really enjoy what's his face,
James McAvoy.
James McAvoy.
I enjoy him too.
I think he gets dogged quite a bit, and really unfairly. I think that whole franchise got dogged. I mean, Dark Phoenix was terrible. We can all agree on that. But First Class, oh my God, those were really, really solid movies that were kind of on their own, and they were good.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm like you. Is that there is a certain lack or a certain sense of fatigue, and I'm wondering to myself, how do we get through these next 13 movies? How do we get through this next group of TV shows? Which you've got She-Hulk, which that looks. The trailer I've seen for that looks like a joke. Like I thought it was like some like fan made trailer or whatever on YouTube, and it wasn't. I'm not joking. I thought it was fake. I Googled it because I thought it was fake. I thought it was someone playing a prank. So bad. You've got Secret Invasion, the Echo, Loki season 2. I didn't finish season 1. It didn't capture me. It didn't grab me.
The payoff on that one was pretty poor. It was a fun show, but it was pretty poor payoff.
Ironheart, Daredevil, Born Again, and the Agatha show.
Yeah.
But I mean, so you're going to have Agatha, so then you're going to see, Wanda probably again. I think she'll be in this franchise until she's 100 years old. She'll pull Betty White and be 90 doing magic spells. But and then
whenever she gets too old to live, they'll just do a Doctor Who and transmutate her into a new looking actress.
But I mean, like I said, I wanted to enjoy these movies and these shows. And the last good one, the last one that I watched, I'm like, man, that was phenomenal. I mean, the only thing going right now is the Spider-Man franchise, and that's pretty well, at least for the next 5 years, dead in the water.
Right.
There might, there might be the occasional cameo, but at some point, Tom Holland's going to be too old for that role. I mean, let's be real.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think that's the biggest struggle that Marvel faces right now is how do they overcome their audience aging out of the excitement of all these massively interconnected films, and how do they either elect to continue doing that and do it well, or elect to sidestep it and take some time to create great standalone films that then they can go back and retcon them. See, that's one of the things I mentioned. Doctor Who. Doctor Who is a fantastic example of how to do good writing, how to retcon older content into a newer series, and it worked extremely well. At least when whatever his name Moffat was the writer, I think all the way up through seasons 7 and through 8, maybe 7 and 8, somewhere in there. They did these things where they would go back, and it was like the writers were very clearly fans of the work that had come before. Right. And so they're pulling content from these old episodes, from this old stuff, and they're writing these ways that this current story is interconnected with that old story. And it didn't have to be that way. They didn't have to do that to have a great show. It was already a good standalone thing, but they made it that much better, and they connected it to its roots by being fans of their own content. And I think that's one of the things that they have to kind of figure out is, how can we kind of, if I was Kevin Feige, I would be like, let's backpedal a little bit. Let's take a few steps back.
Feige, or is it Feige?
I don't know. Feige? I don't know. If I was Kevin, if you want to call him that, I would let's just take a few steps back. Let's assess. And let's stop trying to shoehorn more content into this already bloated universe. Let's just start making great films again. That was one of the things about Moon Knight that I loved, was that it was a good show. It was exciting, and it didn't have to connect back to the main universe. It was a great standalone platform. And there's all these kind of theorists and conjecturists out there that are being like, how is it going to connect? And I'm like, don't bother. Just let it be good.
Let it be a movie.
Right.
I don't want to have to go to a movie and remember what happened 6 films ago from 2019. I just don't want to do that. I want to go watch a movie and I want to relax, and I think that's why I loved, because for the most part, Spider-Man, Spider-Man Far From Home, the biggest nod is that Tony Stark is dead. There isn't a huge amount of, tie-in from old movies. At least not, to the point of some of these other films where you've got to remember what happened in, 2018. But, I think that for me, the last good Marvel movie that I was just crazy about was probably Ragnarok. Infinity War was trash. I don't care what anybody says. They weren't good. Sorry, trash is harsh. Trash is harsh.
That was a good end to a great franchise. That I think the take home from my perspective from this episode, our debut episode, season 4, is that it was a good end and it should have stayed there.
Yeah,
they should have not necessarily abandoned or forgotten everything that had happened, but start building good characters in the world that exists after that.
I agree. I think that for me, there were parts in there that could have been condensed, parts that they tried to make too funny, jokes that were necessary. I just don't, you could have probably combined the two movies into one movie and made it work.
I agree. Well, I think we are out of time for this first episode, so we're going to wrap it up. Make sure that you give us a connect on the socials, and we will see you next episode. Whenever that will be, we will let you know.
A week or two. I promise we're not going to bail this time. Like mom and dad are home. We're here.
We're back, and we're back for good. All right. Signing off. We'll see you guys next time.